Good day. Thanks for joining us today on our Inspiring Individuals series. Today we have the fortunate ability of inviting Miss Vicky How to join us at our studios today. Vicky is a surveyor and a valuer by training, and she is actually here to share with us over a series that we're going to be doing together on property buying in Malaysia. Good morning, Vicky. Thank you so much for coming.
Good morning, and thanks for having me here.
Vicky, I'm just very curious. In front of your title, it actually says SR, but SR is not valuer, but you're more known for your valuation work. What does that mean?
SR stands for surveyor. Valuer are part of surveyor. We have got Royal Institute Surveyor Malaysia. So all the valuers, surveyor, land surveyor, quantity surveyor, they are all grouped under surveyor.
Right, okay. So that's why you took an SR instead of a VR, so to speak, I guess?
There's no VR,
There's
unfortunately.
No VR. Okay. Vicky, how long have you been in this industry? You look very, very young, very youthful, I have to add.
Thank you very much for your compliment. I've been in this industry for more than 12 years now. I started very young. I've gained my experience more than 12 years already.
And how long, for 12 years, were you practicing as a valuer?
No, I have various of experience in property industry. I started up as a negotiator, and then I went to for valuer and also being a developer before. So I have various of experience in property industry.
Okay. Where currently is your firm? Is it based in Malaysia, or is it based outside, or is it based in Klang Valley?
It is in Klang Valley.
Right, okay. Vicky, in our particular series that we want to do today, we want to actually help uncover how and what does a person need to do to become a property owner in Malaysia. But we want to actually break it up into several parts because it's actually going to be very, very meaty in terms of the content.
Indeed.
So for this particular session, I'd like to just focus on before you buy, what do you need to do? So could you share with us a little bit of your experience with helping your clients or even yourself in terms of before deciding to buy your first property? What kind of questions would they normally go through?
Okay. When those buyers who are buying the first home, they are usually relatively young. Okay. These are the people who have a lot of consideration. If they have parents who help them, those consideration is off. But a lot of them, the first consideration is financial. And they thought that they need the full sum of money. Let's say the property is worth 500,000. They need to have 500,000 in order to buy the property. So a lot of them thinks that I need to save up this amount of money before I started buying property. And the next things that they were thinking about is that they are afraid that property, what if the property market is not doing well? What if I lose money, all my money in this investment or this purchase? And also the next things that they would think about is they do not know the fundamental of property at all. They have absolutely no idea about property. What is property? How do you invest? What is the principle behind the property? What is freehold? What is leasehold? What is title? They have not seen a title before in their life. So that is actually taken them aback from investing in property. And also property, the quantum is very big. It's huge. Compared to buying shares, you can start from few hundred or few thousand ringgit. But property needs to be like few hundred thousand, the entry level. So that makes them think twice before they invest in property.
So from what I'm hearing from you, it is more of a financial consideration that's holding a lot of people back. And beyond a financial consideration, there's also another area where there's a lot of terminologies, there's a lot of legal frameworks that they need to probably be aware of or understand before they decide to buy. Would that be correct?
That's right.
Okay. The question that I also would have to ask you is this. Would Malaysians or would people need to buy properties now? I mean, you see the Uberization of cars where people say, I don't need to buy a car anymore. Do you think that properties will go down that way? So do I even need to buy my first property?
I think the way that the world is changing right now, no matter how fast it's evolving, we still need a place for shelter. Okay, it's either the place getting smaller or bigger, but obviously in this case the space is getting smaller and smaller because of the scarcity of the land and the price tag of the property. So eventually the property price going bigger and higher, the affordability become lower. So the developer has to push the smaller space to sell it to the consumer so that the consumer can afford the property.
But what are the main reasons would someone even want to consider buying a property other than shelter? I mean, other than shelter, are there any other reasons?
The other reason is that they use it as a passive income and also a way of investment. Put it this way, if every month you have a commitment, it forces you to save the amount of money. At the end of the day, property price appreciate, and you are actually doing a forced saving to yourself for an investment in the future.
But if I already have a forced savings, like for instance, in Malaysia we have the EPF, or if I have an insurance policy that I put my money every month in, or put my money in every month, do I still want to, or do I still need to put it in a property?
Okay, by average, property appreciate 8 to 10% per annum. At a good time, it can be up to 20%. So EPF is giving you 5%. So our inflation rate in Malaysia is about 3% declared. Undeclared is about 10% or more. So if you put your money into a saving or EPF, you're actually losing out your money at the end of the day, because the value of the money getting smaller. But the value of the property appreciates 10% in good time. So meaning that you are actually making money if you're putting your money into property.
All properties appreciate at the same rate?
No, it actually depending very much to the location. For example, property in KLCC is volatile. It depends very much to the economy of Malaysia, and depending on how many expatriates, how many foreign investor is investing into Malaysia. Whereas outskirts, you will see in Klang Valley, such as Subang Jaya or Petaling Jaya, you will see the property appreciate faster than certain places in city like KLCC.
Right, okay. And that's location per se, but the types of property, would they also appreciate at the same pace like each other? Like for instance, a single-story terrace house that is say 1,500 square feet versus a condo at 1,500 square feet?
Okay, landed property, we have a few types that we can look into. Okay, for example, terrace house will appreciate faster than semi-D and also bungalow house. The reason is because semi-D and bungalow house is a niche market that caters for a higher higher income person. So not everyone can actually afford to have semi-D or bungalow house. In fact, bungalow house, they are actually renovated to suit their needs, and they can be renovated. The renovation is huge amounts, but you and I probably don't like the bungalow house. So at the end of the day, when we buy the bungalow house, we will slash with the owner because we don't like the design at all. Whereas terrace house is much of a common and a mass market product, and because it is a landed property, the property appreciate higher than condominiums and apartments, service apartments. But in some rare cases whereby condominiums and service apartments are so highly in demand due to the location that is close to LRT station or some upcoming potential development in that area that driven the property price to increase very high. So it is advisable to buy landed property, but at this current situation, a lot of youngsters, especially homeowners, are not able to buy landed property anymore.
Is it because of the quantum? Or?
It is because of the quantums. For a simple landed property in Klang Valley, it will cost $500,000 more. Whereas a studio apartments in any of this area, studio apartments ranging from 300 to 500 square feet, it costs us around 500,000. Yeah.
Okay. So coming back with regard to wanting to buy your first property or preparing to buy your first property, what we've learned from you today is that financeability and legal jargon, and also type of property per se. But let's get back to the finance and financeability. Can you help us understand, when you bought your first property, what were the financial questions that you asked yourself, and how did you actually answer those questions that you had in terms of, it's a 30-year loan. My income is now like this, but it's a 30-year loan. How do you bridge that gap?
Okay. Many people do not understand that, especially younger generation. They think that they can wait, but the age is the limit. So some certain bank can actually borrow up to 35 years. The more you stretch, the lesser you pay per month. Okay, and also there are a lot of people thought that I can take up 90% loan, so I just have to prepare 10% of the purchase price. So if you are buying sub-sales market, so there's sub-sales market, there's off-plan, there's new development, and also you can buy from auction property and etc. But from sub-sale market, you obviously have to prepare a 10%. Okay. On top of that, you will need to prepare for your MOT, stamp duty. So MOT stands for Memorandum of Transfer. So you need to prepare the amount for, say, first 100,000 is 1%, and then the next 400,000 is 2%, and the next 500,000 is 3%. On the next year onward, anything above 1 million will be considered as 4%. So you have to prepare that amount of money. So you will also have to prepare the stamp duty of your loan agreement, which is 0.5% of your loan amount, not your sales purchase amount. Okay. This is what a lot of people misunderstood. They thought it's 0.5 of the purchase amount. It is not necessary on the purchase amount. It is more on your loan amount.
Okay.
If your loan amount is 70%, it will be calculated 70% of your purchase price times with 0.5%. Okay. And also there is legal fees that you need to prepare of. So legal fees, you can roughly get the that is a table, stimulation tables of fees, standard fees that you can get it from your lawyer. It's all standard price. But the thing is, you need to prepare two types of legal fees. One is for your sales and purchase agreement. The other one you need to prepare for your loan agreements. So you have two types. But not to forget that on top of the legal fees, each legal fees will have a disbursement of around 500 ringgit to 800 ringgit. Depends on how much things that you want your lawyers to do, and depending on how much your lawyer is charging you. Okay, that's roughly what you need to prepare for home buyer for sub-sale property. But if you are buying a new home, off-plan property, it is much simpler, because nowadays that developer are providing easier package. For example, they are paying for your legal fees, so you don't have to worry about your legal fees. And you don't have to worry about where to get your lawyer. You don't have to worry about how to get your loan, because most of them already have their bankers. So it is a much easier process. But anyhow, it's advisable to prepare about 10% for your new development. Okay, so for sub-sales market property, you need to prepare about 15 to 20% of your property price.
So you're saying that beyond the initial deposit that you need to pay, the other amount of money that you would need to facilitate the entire process is probably between 5 and 10% of the value of the property.
Correct.
For sub-sale. Wow, okay. Usually, if you were to look at it, would there be any difference if I were to buy a sub-sale property? Sorry, the amount of money that I would need to put for a sub-sale property, if it's a strata or if it's a landed, is there any difference, or is it still 5 to 10%?
It is still the same.
Still the same.
It is still the same. Yeah.
Okay. Then in order to also make that purchase, then your financial standing and your financial qualification becomes important. as a first-time buyer, what can I do to check whether my financial standing is okay, not okay? Can I borrow? Can I not borrow? And how much can I buy?
Okay, usually what you need to check is your CCRIS. How you can check it is you go to Bank Negara. They have a kiosk where you can put in your IC and your thumbprint and they can print it out for you. It's all automatic. And the other way you can check is through CTOS. Okay, you can type in online, you can do it online, CTOS. So you can, CTOS is much more in-depth, especially for businessmen who owns a lot of businesses. So all your company details will be out in the report, and also whether you have D-check record. D-check is actually a form of record when you bounce any check in the market.
I see, okay.
So in any year that you have bounced 2 times of check, okay, the 3rd time the bank account will be closed. So it is important to see, the bank will see at whether how your honesty and trustworthy of you, okay, and the bank also would like to check your behavior of yourself. So from the CCRIS, if your CCRIS is very clean, for example, you don't have any credit card, you don't have installment for car, you don't have any house, you have no commitment at all, it seems like a good news, you know. But it is not entirely a good news because the bank can't see your behavior. The bank wants to see your behavior, how you spend your money, how promptly you pay your payment. So because the bank can assess the risk of borrowing money to you. So my advice to first home buyer is at least get one credit card. So you can control your usage of credit card, for example, just using it for petrol. Just use a very minimum of amount so that the bank can actually assess your habit of paying your credit card promptly on time. Yes.
So build a financial track record, make sure that you show and display that you're responsible, and also make sure that you go and do your credit check with at least CCRIS to make sure that everything is actually in order. Those are the things you're talking about?
Yes.
Well done. But what if I were to just show the bank I've got a lot of fixed deposit and I don't want a credit card? Would that help?
You have to have a certain commitment in the sense that probably you have a car, then it helps. Getting a car loan is easier, always easier than getting a house loan.
Okay.
Okay. So if you have a car, you have lots of FD, and there's chances of you may be approved. But I do have clients who are first-time buyers. They don't have credit card at all. It's so difficult for the bank to assess their profile. But coincidentally, they are the cash type of person, so they use cash all the time, and the bank are able to assess through their debit card how they spend their money, and also because he has got a lot of FD to prove that he is able to pay off the loan anytime he wants.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So financial prudency, financial ability is important. But if I were to purchase just say a $500,000 house or property, that would mean that the monthly installment would be about 2005, 2006?
Yeah, about 2005, depending on your age.
Okay.
So the higher your age is, so the limit is until 70 years old.
Okay.
So if you are up to 35 or 40 years old, so you are the, I call it last train to catch.
Okay.
Okay. So you can borrow up to the maximum of the bank years tenure. So meaning that above this age, your installment will be higher than 2005. But if you are very young, for example, you started young, like 25 years old, you are able to borrow up to 35 years, you may be, installment may be slightly lower, about 2004.
Okay. So that would also mean that my lifestyle would be very different. I mean, if I earn 5,000 ringgit, hypothetically, paying 2005 for an installment, assuming I'm still very young, would mean that, wow, I have to give up a lot of things. It would mean a big change in my lifestyle. Did that scenario affect you, or did that scenario Was it something that you had to go through when you bought your first property? Was there significant changes in your lifestyle?
Okay. First time when I bought my property is a very small property. So those days, I'm not young anymore for your information. Those days, my salary is only 2,000 plus ringgit. So I only pay a couple of hundred ringgit to the bank. It does struggle a little bit, but what keeps me going is that I know that one day I don't have to rent a house anymore. So the rental of the house actually, it has to have a certain of mentality to it. If you're renting the house, in other words, you're actually helping the person to pay their installment. So why not I buy my own house, I make my own installment, at the end of the day, I gain the capital appreciation. So that's the mental, I say mental motivation that I have.
Right, okay, so the sacrifices that you go through was actually negligible compared to the payoff if you were to sell it at a later date in the future. Would that be right?
Exactly.
Right, okay. The other things to consider before we actually end this particular very quick session is this. In order for me to make a purchase, how young or how old must I be in order to start buying? Can I be like can I ask my son who's 14 to buy with me?
I would say, actually at the beginning, I would like to tell you there's no age limits, but you need to be above 18 years old. But in order for you to be qualified in the bank loan, it is safe to be above 21, because it's not convincible to the bank that you are 18 years old and you have the ability to take up a loan responsibility.
Right, okay. Well, before we end the session for today, I just want to touch base with your organization, Propedia, I believe.
Yes.
That's the new evolution of SR Vicky How. Can you tell me a bit about Propedia and how do you help your clients achieve their real estate dreams?
Okay, by the name, it stands for Propertypedia. That means everything you want to know about property. So basically, this company is set up to educate more on educating the nation on how to invest the property. So we are here to have a consultancy. So it's Propedia consultancy. So if you have come to a certain extent that you're not able to take up loan, you don't know why, we are there to help you. We provide consultancy to that, and on top of that, we also advise you on what kind of property you should buy with your profile, and after that, what do you need to do with your property. Okay, so there are a lot of strategies to invest in property and also a lot of ways to buy a property. So we are there to advise clients on that. On top of that, we're also providing valuation works, building management, and also sell and leasing as well.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our session for Inspiring Individuals for this time round. With us today, we actually had the good fortune of having SR Vicky How from Propedia Consultancy to share her thoughts on how to get ready to buy your first property. In our upcoming series, what we will do is also speak to SR Vicky How on what to buy, where to buy, and what happens after you buy. So do stick around. Thank you very much for joining us today. Vicky, well done. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.